I'm just reworking some old pieces. These are things that I created kind of mostly in the middle of the night, like a long time ago, and I've just kind of kept these little bits of workings hidden away for a rainy day, which it is today. And I actually really enjoy reworking things that I've done before, kind of taking that inspiration and working into it more, working with it, taking the feel. And I found this message quite like the colours quite bold and the style quite messy, and I did do it in the middle of the night by a little lamp, and when you do that it is quite hard to see exactly what you're creating, but it can be kind of a record in time of what you were hoping to communicate, of the message that you wanted to make. So I think it is really valuable when you can just add some things down to some paper when you get the message, even if it is the middle of the night. You know, when the inspiration strikes, to take that and just put it down and paper or digitally or whatever floats your boat, works for you. And I'm now working into it, so I did this part watercolour but part with brush pens, which are these ones by Lyra, Aqua Brush Duo. It's a water-based one. It has a brush tip and a normal tip. And I've got a few different colours, and they, because they're water-based, I can work into their the previous markings, even if they're really old, to use them a bit like watercolour. And you can see that being able to do that is creating this real soft pale pink background, which I think is a lot more in tune with the messaging that I wanted here. It just has more softness, less strength, less power in the colour. The message was simply "Love fosters love," which probably at the time when I was writing this, it was something that had kept coming into my mind again and again. I don't know if you get that, where you wake up with the words in your head and you want to write them down, and it's something that had come to mind before but had kind of left. And the words had left and I hadn't really been using it in my mind so much. So I think they were coming back to mind to remind me. And at the time when I woke in the night to do this, I was having quite a difficult time in life. I was living with someone very disruptive and was carrying a lot of anger and hate within himself personally, which moved outwards into how he behaved with everyone else and how he affected everyone else in his life. And living with that person, obviously it affected me, and it was quite a hard period of time to live through. So having the message "Love fosters love" was one of many that came through while I was asleep that was good to remind myself of. And it's always good to remind yourself that if you are looking for more love in your life, you've got to put love into it. It just sort of keeps growing exponentially. The more you put in, the more it grows. And obviously there are times in your life when it is very hard to do that. But they're kind of the times when it is worth putting the effort in. If you keep seeing me do this with a brush, it's because I seem to have acquired some cat hairs. As a cat mum, this is an ongoing problem with artwork, in that cat hairs make their way into the work quite often. And it sort of adds to the work, actually. It's kind of when you naturally need to work with what you've got, you know, the brush strokes move in a different way when you're trying to be careful to not incorporate cat hairs. So I think you can probably see now I've still got some definition of some of the strokes and patterns that have been in this piece of work previously, but I've now got more of a merged pink background, that it's a little softer, it's a little more gentle after working in those brush strokes. I'm just wondering, that's my pot of pens and pencils that I often work with. And I have my very small watercolour palette here. It's a travel one. So let me move this back. So inside a bit. So obviously I've got like all of the standard colours, but yeah, I'm just going to work into this a little bit more, see what comes up. So I've just worked my water into a little bit of a leftover brown there. I'm going to add in this purpley pink. Maybe that's magenta or cerise, and take in a little bit of red as well into the brown. Bit more water because I really want it subtle, really subtle. What are the colours I've used? The brown is a burnt sienna. The purpley pink I said is just called purple, and the red is vermilion in the Aquatint brand names. Okay, let's see how that's feeling. Yeah, that's nice and subtle, it's just adding a little depth. It's a soft, gentle warmth. It's nice, it's nice. Little subtle addition, just wanting to bring a little more depth into the outer edges of the work a bit more. I think it's also because it's winter at the moment. It does feel really nice to work with a deep, warm colour to bring in a bit more warmth into life. I think it's different for everyone though. Some people really like working with the cool colours and this sort of winter wonderland feeling. I really enjoy warm colours, muddy colours, so even if I'm working with cool blues and stuff, I do enjoy a warmth in there, warm colour involved, or a warmer blue, which is for me it adds a bit more depth into the feeling if you add a little bit of brown into everything. Yeah, it adds depth because brown is made of all the colours. It adds a nuance into whatever you're creating. And for me this winter has been quite difficult. I think globally there won't be many people who feel particularly untouched by what's going on in the world right now, so I'm sure my experience doesn't seem particularly unique in saying that this winter, this is in December 2021, that this winter is a quite difficult one. I have had a lot to deal with in life recently, which protracts these sort of layers of emotions and quite a mix of emotions, and then just kind of layered over and over each other, and it's harder to move through one thing and recover from one thing when there's another one layering over it. And that's in my personal life, but also in terms of how the world is growing or developing or not growing or not developing, is also something that I sometimes struggle to live through. And as a very perceptive, empathetic, sensitive person, I think it's just going to be that way for all my life, all the different things that are going on. And although I do partake in the world a certain amount, there is definitely times in my life where I need to be avoiding the news and, you know, spending a bit of time taken away from the sort of busyness of society and what it's doing as a whole. And although I feel it's responsible to be informed on what's going on in your world and where you can to take part in supporting those who need it, it also, you do need to look after yourself, fill your own cup first, they say, don't they? Just adding a little more of this brown in running below, a bit more of a purple, something nice and deep. I'm just going to go around a little bit more. Ooh, that looks really nice, doesn't it? Yeah, so being in the world right now, probably people who are watching this are potentially quite creative, sensitive people as well, so you'll be fully understanding of how kind of going through the whole of life this is an issue, but even more so at this time when there's a lot of catalysts happening and things changing in the world. Things are changing more quickly now than they have done earlier in my life. I'm in my 30s at the moment, I was born in the 80s. And things used to move quite slowly in comparison to now. Everything's speeding up, and there is a lot to take on board if you are following everything that's going on in the world, and the news sources can be representing what's happening in quite an extreme way, because they want the news stories that are shocking and compelling and will draw people in to consume their news, because that's how they run the business. You know, we live in a capitalist world and they need to make money. They're not just there to inform us, they're there to, well, their main purpose is to make money. And we know that there are a lot of businesses who spread messages, people in the media who they are owned or funded or have shareholders that have higher interests in earning money and in getting a certain message across. So news consumption is quite a difficult thing to do, you know, to find news that isn't biased or has any ulterior agenda other than just informing you of the factual world. Okay, now that is a really blended piece of work now. It's still looking really red to me, less pale, but I think when it dries it's going to be a bit more pale pink. And then I want to work back into it with the brush pens, but I did the brush pens in bright red before, and I think I'm going to work into it with another colour, and I haven't decided what yet, but I want it to be something warm and deep, so it might be brown. It does need to stand out against this background, so I can't use my pink brush pen. It's quite a subtle pink, so it won't come out that much. The other thing I could do is dig out my gold ink, so I could use I've got a couple potential brush pens I could use that are goldeny. Does it have a colour on here? So this one is gold ochre, and the other one, where are you hiding? Tiny writing, is burnt ochre. So I have burnt ochre and gold ochre brush pens, so what I'm thinking is I might work into it with one of these and then take my gold ink out and work over it. I think that could be a really lovely effect. And something else I wanted to do today while I'm waiting for that to dry, let me put this over here. So a while ago I went through kind of the rest of a pad of paper that I had, and I made backgrounds, if you can see this. So they're working in different colours, so I can well, what I wanted to do is I wanted to know that I had kind of any colour that might be useful to me for what I wanted to create, but I also wanted to know that I had colours that maybe corresponded with the chakras in the body, if that means anything to you. So chakra just means like energy point in the body, it's often referred to in yoga, in different ways of life, disciplines. So I started these off. I think this might use a bit of the gold. Is it shiny? No, maybe not, but I think this might be. I don't think the gold spatters are. And yeah, I wanted to have these to hand so that I could work into something if I wanted that's already dry. And I haven't used any of these yet. So I think today I might be thinking about what my messaging is and putting some of these together. Creating a little piece of art, and I might be sharing these messages with you soon. So I hope you can see all the colours I've done there. It's quite nice, right, to have these, and if you're creative yourself you may find that doing this sort of prep is something you might appreciate for yourself as well. because sometimes you have the whole idea and you know what your background might want to be, but you don't want to paint it and wait for it to dry before you can work into it. So I guess that was my theory. So I'm thinking of doing that. And another thing I was thinking about is working into plain white paper and doing some colouring pages, so drawing out the lines, and if anyone wanted to do it with me, I would draw out the lines in a video so you could see me do it, but I would also do another video where I would colour it in and allow, like, use a link or something so you can download a digital version of it, and then you could either print that out or colour into it digitally with me, so you can do that. And it would be interesting to see how, maybe if for you to see how different yours is to mine, how you would colour quite differently. So I'm thinking of doing that, and if the colouring becomes quite popular, maybe I could even put together a colouring book to sell on Etsy or something like that. It depends on if that sort of thing is in demand. Yes, so for today, I'm looking for warm colours, and this one I think is taking my fancy. Can you see? It's quite a subtle background and it's got gold worked into it already. And because I want to be working with gold a bit later today as well, I am thinking of doing that one. Yeah, there are some other nice options there. I think I'm going to start with this. And I wanted to kind of decide on a message that reminds people of the magical energy inside of them. I guess there's different words for this, like inspiration and things like that, but it is like a natural energy for creation. And by creation I don't necessarily mean artwork, I mean whatever you create in life, when you create your plans, when you do anything. Really, I guess you don't have to create a physical item, you can create anything. We're all, powerful with our creativity. I think sometimes people they get an idea of what creativity is and they think, I'm not creative, but everyone creates something. You can create a mood in an environment, in the space you're in, some of you might be with your family and create a warm, loving space. You could be, even on your commute, you might smile at someone and then create something within them, and it all ripples out, all of these things you create. And anyone who thinks they're not creative, if you can log into the idea of it in a much wider, wide open perspective of what creation is, I think you will spot that you do inspire and create in your life quite a lot. And that's something I wanted to write in a message. So how do I channel all of that into one message, one small message? That is my task for this. So it's about energy flow, it's about channeling in the inspiration into whatever you are doing and just letting that flow, letting it flow out. So actually I'll show you this as well. So the other day I did a little well, I don't know what you would call this, sketch or a mood board almost, of different things that were in my mind of what I wanted to communicate. So it says on here, energy flow, channels, nature, bathe in beauty, freedom, generation, oozing natural energy, life, make me a channel, love, growth, compassion, and of course there's lots of like symbols of nature in here. There's a lot of plant-based nature in here. And it's very, the way that I've put it together, it really flows. Different pieces flow into other pieces, you see. So I do like make me a channel, but that's not the exact message. And then what I haven't put on that, on this, is anything about magic, but I want to put magic in here somewhere. I need that in my inspiration. Work into it briefly here. So I'm putting remember your magic, and just going to put the word creativity into here. This is more for my mind map than, I'm not sure this itself is a piece of art. I think this is something that's going to live in the cupboard as something to flip through on days for inspiration itself. And of course it has it has made its way into this video as well, so it's being useful. So I think of these two colours I'm going to go with the gold ochre for this one. I think this will work really nicely with this background. I can see a couple of places where cat hairs have made their way in. It's come off, that's fine. At least if the art has cat hairs, it's authentic, right? To my own lifestyle. So I want to put in something about feeling your creative energy. So maybe it's just let your creative energy flow, or creative energy flows. I did do a piece a while back that said energy flows where attention goes. And that was something I really enjoyed, creating a little message, and I had that on the wall for a while. It was a really nice reminder, actually. And I still have that one somewhere. It's not on my pinboard at the moment though. It's something like that, but it's not about exactly where your attention is. It's about allowing a natural flow. Creativity is a natural energy flow. Maybe that's the message. Natural flow of energy. Yeah, I think I'm gonna work into that message. Creativity is channeling the natural flow of energy. The natural flow of energy will come through a channel if you're not blocking it anyway. You don't have to kind of actively channel it. It arrives if you are open to it. It just happens. So I think using the word channel as an active participant in that sentence isn't quite right. Creativity is natural energy flow. I'm going to work into that, and then I think if another message comes from it, I might add that into something else. So I haven't actually done brushstroke for a little bit. So part of me is intrigued to see how this comes without practice. But I want to have creativity is, and then natural energy flow. Okay. Wish me luck to go into this. I wonder if you can see that. Yeah. So I think what is common is that a lot of people would practice this on grid paper and guidelines before they go into it, and while I really appreciate that, I actually really like a rustic sort of natural flow. I don't like it to look too polished. I like it to look like a person has done it by hand and it's not generated by a computer font or anything. I'm just gonna have to always keep an eye on that I am doing the correct letter, because I have before gotten distracted with talking and then realised that I've missed a letter. Creativity. If you can hear a little noise, it's my cat having a little explore. I've got basics down there. Work into this T. Not the worst, not the worst. I think I'm going to work that is, could be into there, could be into there, couldn't it? I think actually this would be nice here, and could use a friend. Is, and then working over here. Natural. Every now and then you'll see me pause and turn the brush around. That's just to make sure my brush doesn't get bent out of shape. Brush pen. Can you see my cat? Oh, a bit. Good girl. Natural energy. The Y of energy is a little tight there, but I think we can work with it. And then I don't know if I want to do flow, like quite bold. So even though I love the brush strokes, I might go into a caps lock kind of vibe here. So I'm gonna do it still. Yes. Bold, right? And I want to work a little flow down here into that, so it's shallow. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Let me just see if I can show you nicely from above. Excuse my fingers. It's kind of how it's turning out. And this, excuse me for it drying all wobbly, but that's how that's working out. I need to weight that down actually with a bit of a book. So, can you see the gold isn't looking that reflective actually, but yeah, that does look a bit tight, doesn't it? We're all human. And you can see how the message there, even though I've worked that out into the pink, the message is still there, and I'm gonna go over it in the same way really and bring in that gold. So I think I'll leave it there, and this will probably have a part 2 to it as I keep working into it. Yeah, take care. Hope you enjoyed this little vlog style video. And I'll see you in another one.